Hello, Ottawa Conference Hotel.
Oh, hi. I wanted to ask about conference facilities at the hotel. Am I talking to the right person?
You are. I am the customer services manager. My name is Quinton. So how can I help you?
Well, I'm calling from Stenton and Randall's, and we are a medical supply company based in Ottawa.
Oh, yes?
And we're organizing a conference for our clients to be held in Ottawa. It will be held over 2 days, and we are expecting about 50 to 60 people.
When are you thinking of having it?
Sometime early next year, like at the end of January. It'll have to be on a weekend.
Let me see. Our conference facilities are already booked for the weekend beginning January 28th. Could we do the first weekend in February?
How about January 21st?
I'm afraid that is booked too.
Well, let's go for the February date then.
So that is the weekend beginning the 4th.
Okay, can you tell me a little about what conference facilities you have?
Sure. So for talks and presentations, we have the Chateau Room. Chateau, that is spelled Chateau. It holds up to 100 people and it's fully equipped with a projector and a podium. You can see this room on our website.
How about a microphone?
Yes, that will be set up for you, and there will be one that the members of the audience can use for questions too, if necessary.
Fine, and we'll need some sort of open area where people can sit and have a cup of coffee. And we'd like to have an exhibition of our products and services there as well. So that'll need to be quite a big space.
Yes, there is a central atrium with all those facilities, and you can come before the conference starts if you want to set your exhibition up.
Great, and I assume there is Wi-Fi.
Oh yes, that is free and available throughout the hotel.
Oh, great.
Would you also like us to provide a buffet lunch? We can do a 2-course meal with a number of different options.
What sort of price are we looking at for that?
Well, I can send you a copy of the standard menu. That's $45 per person, or you can have the deluxe for $25 more.
I think the standard should be fine, but send the menu too. Now, we're going to need some accommodation on the Saturday night for some of the participants. I'm not sure how many, but probably about 25. So what do you charge per room?
Well, for conference attendees, we have a 25% discount, so we can offer you rooms at $135. Normally, the standard room is $180.
And does that include breakfast?
Sure, and of course, guests can also make use of all of the facilities at the hotel. We have a spa where you can get a massage or a facial, and there's also a sauna, whirlpool, and a swimming pool on the roof for the use of our guests.
Great. What about transportation links? The hotel is downtown, isn't it?
Yes, about 12 kilometers from the airport, but there is a complimentary shuttle bus for guests. Also, our hotel is only about a 10-minute walk from the train station.
Well, I don't know Ottawa very well. Can you just give me an idea of the location of the hotel?
Well, as I said, it is downtown, not too far from the Spark Street Mall and Market Street. If the conference attendees want to go out on the Saturday evening, there are many fine restaurants to eat at. Then, if they want to make a night of it, they can go on to one of the clubs in the area. There are many of those too.
Okay, so if we go ahead with this, can you give me some information about how much?
Hi everyone, I'm Tim DeVries and I'm your rep here at the hotel. I'm sure you'll have a great time here, so let me tell you a bit about what we have to offer. I'll start by telling you some of the excursions that are available for our guests during the week. One thing you have to do while you're here is go dolphin watching. On our boat trips, we pretty well guarantee you'll see dolphins. If you don't, you can repeat the trip free of charge. We organize daily trips for just €35. Unfortunately, there aren't many places left for this afternoon's trip, but come and see me later and we can book one for later in the week. If you're energetic, I'd recommend our forest walk. It's a guided walk of about 7 kilometers. There'll be a stop halfway, and you'll be provided with a drink and sandwiches. There are some fairly steep climbs up the hills, so you'll need to be reasonably fit for this one, with good shoes and bring a waterproof in case it rains. It's just €25, all inclusive, and it's every Wednesday. Then on Thursdays, we organize a cycle trip, which will give you all the fun of biking without the effort. We take you and your bike up to the top of Mount Larna and leave you to bike back. It's a 700-meter drop in just 20 kilometers. So this really isn't for inexperienced cyclists. You'll be going pretty fast, and if it's a clear day, of course, you'll have beautiful views. Also, on our local craft tour, you can find out about the traditional activities on the island. And the best thing about this trip is that it's completely free. You'll be taken to a factory where jewelry is made, and also a ceramic center. If you want, you can buy some of the products, but that's entirely up to you, of course. The trip starts after lunch on Thursday, and you'll return by 6 p.m. If you're interested in astronomy, you may already know that the island's one of the best places in the world to observe the night sky. We can offer trips to the observatory on Friday for those who are interested. They cost €90 per person, and you'll be shown huge telescopes and have a talk from an expert who will explain all about how they work. Afterwards, we'll head down to Sunset Beach, where you can have a dip in the ocean if you want before we head back to the hotel. Finally, there's horse riding. This is organized by the Equestrian Center over near Playa Cortina, and it's a great experience if you're a keen horseback rider or even if you've never been on a horse before. They'll take you down to the beach and you can canter along in the sand and through the waves. It costs €35 and it's available every day. So, there's plenty to do in the daytime, but what about nightlife? Well, the number one attraction is called Musical Favorites. Guests enjoy a 3-course meal and unlimited free drinks and watch a fantastic show, starting with musicals set in Paris and then crossing to the Atlantic, to Las Vegas, and finally the Copacabana. At the end, cast members come down from the stage, still in their stunning costumes, and you'll have a chance to chat with them. It's hugely popular, so let me know if you're interested, because it's no good leaving it until the last minute. It's on Friday night. Tickets are €50 each, but for an extra €10, you can have a table right at the stage. If you'd like to go back in time, there's a castle feast on Saturday evening as well. It's held in a 12th century castle, and you eat in a great courtyard with ladies in long gowns serving you food. You're given a whole chicken, which you eat in a medieval way, using your hands instead of the cutlery. And you're entertained by competitions where the horseback riders attempt to knock one another off their horses. Then you can watch the dancers in the ballroom and join in as well if you want. Okay, now, if anyone wants...
Test 3, Section 3, The Band.
So, how are you getting on with your teaching practice at the high school, Mark?
Well, I've been put in charge of the school marching band, and it's quite a responsibility. I'd like to talk it over with you.
Go ahead. You'd better start by giving me a bit of background.
Okay. The band has students in it from all years, so they are aged from 13 to 18, and there are about 50 of them altogether. It's quite a popular activity within the school. I have never worked with a band of more than 20 people before, and this is very different.
I can imagine.
They are not really good enough to enter a national band competition, but they are in a regional one later in the term. Even if they don't win, and don't expect them to, hopefully it will be an incentive for them to try and improve.
Yes, hopefully.
Well, the town council is organizing a carnival in the summer, and the band has been asked to perform. If you ask me, they aren't really up to it yet, and I need to get them functioning better as a band, and in a very short time.
Have you been doing anything with them, apart from practicing the music, I mean?
I played a recording that I came across of a drummer talking about how playing in a band changed his life. I think it was an after-dinner special. I thought it was pretty inspiring, because being in a band stopped them from getting involved in crime. The students seemed to find it interesting too.
That's good.
I'm planning to show them that old film from the 1940s, Strike Up the Band, and talk about it with the students. What do you think?
Good idea. As it's about a school band, it might make the students realize how much they can achieve if they work together.
That's what I've got in mind. I am hoping I can take some of the band to a parade that's going to take place next month. A couple of marching bands will be performing. The atmosphere should be exciting. It depends on whether I can persuade the school to hire a bus or two to take us there.
They sound like good ideas to me.
Thanks, Mary. Can I tell you about a few people in the band who I'm finding quite difficult to cope with? I'm sure you'll have some ideas what I can do.
Go ahead.
There is a flutist who says she loves playing in a band. We rehearse twice a week after school, but she is hardly ever there. Then she looks for me the next day and gives me a very plausible reason. She says she had to help her mother or she has been ill, but to be honest, I don't believe her.
Oh gee, any more students with difficulties?
Plenty. There is a trumpeter who thinks she is the best musician in the band, though she certainly isn't. She is always saying what she thinks other people should do, which makes my job more difficult.
The nightmare continues.
You can say that again. One of the trombonists has got an impressive sense of rhythm and could be an excellent musician, except that he has breathing difficulties and he doesn't really have enough breath for the trombone. He'd be much better off playing percussion, for instance, but he refuses to give up. So he ends up playing half notes for whole notes.
I suppose you have to admire his determination.
Maybe. One of the percussionists isn't too bad, but he never seems to interact with other people, and he always rushes off as soon as rehearsal ends. I don't know if there are family reasons involved or what, but this behavior isn't good in a band, where people really need to feel they are part of a group. There are others too, but at least that gives you an idea of what I am up against. Do you have any thoughts of what I can do, Mary?
In today's class, I'm going to talk about marine archaeology, the branch of archaeology focusing on human interaction with the sea, lakes, and rivers. It's the study of ships, cargoes, shipping facilities, and other physical remains. I'll give you an example, then I'll go on to show how this type of research is being transformed by the use of the latest technology. Atlit Yam was a village on the coast of the eastern Mediterranean, which seems to have been thriving until around 7000 BCE. The residents kept cattle, caught fish, and stored grain. They had wells for fresh water. Many of their houses were built around a courtyard and were constructed of stone. The village contained an impressive monument, 7 half-ton stones standing in a semicircle around a spring that might have been used for ceremonial purposes. Atlit Yam may have been destroyed swiftly by a tsunami, or climate change may have caused glaciers to melt and sea levels to rise, flooding the village gradually. Whatever the cause, it now lies 10 meters below the surface of the Mediterranean, buried under sand at the bottom of the sea. It's been described as the largest and best preserved prehistoric settlement ever found on the seabed. For marine archaeologists, Atlit Yam is a treasure trove. Research on the buildings, tools, and the human remains has revealed how the bustling village once functioned, and even what diseases some of the residents suffered from. But, of course, this is only one small village, one window into the lost world. For a fuller picture, researchers need to find more sunken settlements. But the hard part, of course, is finding them. Underwater research used to require divers to find shipwrecks or artifacts, but in the second half of the 20th century, various types of underwater vehicles were developed. Some controlled from a ship on the surface, and some of them autonomous, which means they don't need to be operated by a person. Autonomous underwater vehicles, or AUVs, are usually used in the oil industry. For instance, to create maps of the seabed before rigs and pipelines are installed. To navigate, these use sensors, such as compasses and sonar. Until recently, they were very expensive, and so heavy that they had to be launched from a large vessel with a winch. But the latest AUVs are much easier to maneuver. They can be launched from the shore or a small ship, and they're much cheaper, which makes them more accessible to research teams. They're also very sophisticated. They can communicate with each other and, for example, work out the most efficient way to survey a site, or to find particular objects on the seabed. Field tests show the approach can work. For example, in a trial in 2015, 3 AUVs searched for wrecks at Marzamemi, off the coast of Sicily. The site is the final resting place of an ancient Roman ship, which sank in the 6th century AD while ferrying prefabricated marble elements for the construction of an early church. The AUVs mapped the area in detail, finding other ships carrying columns of the same material. Creating an internet in the sea for AUVs to communicate is no easy matter. Wi-Fi networks on land use electromagnetic waves, but in water these will only travel a few centimeters. Instead, a more complex mix of technologies is required. For short distances, AUVs can share data using light, while acoustic waves are used to communicate over long distances. But more creative solutions are also being developed, where an AUV working on the seabed offloads data to a second AUV, which then surfaces and beams the data to the research team using a satellite. There is also a system that enables AUVs to share information from seabed scans and other data. So, If an AUV surveying a seabed finds an intriguing object, it can share the coordinates of the object, that is, its position, with a nearby AUV that carries superior cameras, and arrange for that AUV to make closer inspection of the object. Marine archaeologists are excited about the huge potential of these AUVs for their discipline. One site where they're going to be deployed is in the Gulf of Bratti, off the Italian coast. In 1974, a 2,000-year-old Roman vessel was discovered there, in 18 meters of water. When it sank, it was carrying medical goods in a wooden or tin receptacles. Its cargo gives us insight into the treatments available all those years ago, including tablets that are thought to have been dissolved to form a cleansing liquid for the eyes. Other Roman ships went down nearby, taking their cargoes with them. Some held huge pots of terracotta. Some were used for transporting cargoes of olive oil, and others held wine. In many cases, it's only these containers that remain, while the wooden ships have been buried under silt on the seabed. Another project that is about to